knew his wife. Did you hear that? When I got married, I did not sit on the edge of that bed that night of our honeymoon and say to my wife, now I want to know you, so I want you to tell me everything that you did in your life. You know, when you were a little girl, what kind of dolls did you play with? I mean, you know, what did you do? Did you have a puppy dog? Did you have a pussycat? What did you have? I want to know you. I don't think so. I wanted to know my wife in a way that nobody else on this planet knows her. You hearing this? And if your knowledge of God is not in that category, you do not know God. Because God is going to birth his very image and likeness in you. And that image and likeness is called Christ. And that Christ is to be birthed in you. Not just know in your head about him, but to be birthed. So that's the knowledge that you need to have. Paul said, we know. I say, Paul, I wish you wouldn't keep saying that, because we really don't know. Well, he said, but we know that our old man. Now, if you were an Australian, you'd understand what that means. That means your father. He's always called the old man. But in this case, it's Adam. That's the old man from which you come. And he was the man of sin. You see? So Paul is saying to us, knowing this, that our old man, our Adamic consciousness, the fact that we've been born of a woman into this world, he said, I want you to know that that man was crucified with Christ. When you died in him, the Adamic nature, the Adamic consciousness was destroyed. The cross has little or nothing to do with S-I-N. It has to do with the removing of your mortality. And you got your mortality from Adam. Now, quickly, I want to explain to you something. Adam never sinned. Contrary to all of the religious world's statements, Adam never sinned. You can look it up if you like. First Epistle of Timothy, chapter 2, and verse 14. And the apostle said, Adam was not deceived. Adam never talked to the snake. Therefore, he was not deceived. It was the woman that was deceived and took the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It was the woman that sinned. When Eve came with that fruit that she had eaten, and her eyes were open to another world, and I'm sure it didn't take her too long to realize that what she thought was the greatest experience in life, to have open to her the other world other than the one which is from above. She stepped out into a world where the thistles and the thorns and all the other weeds are going to limit what you can produce from the earth. You're going to step out into a world where sickness and pain and suffering is going to haunt you for the rest of your life. You're stepping out into a world where death is going to lay hold upon you. But she thought that was wonderful at that time. She goes into Adam and says, I've eaten this fruit, I want you to share it with me. So Adam took that fruit from her hand. Now, he had never talked to the serpent. He was not deceived. He could not be deceived because Adam is Christ. So he could not be deceived. So he's got the fruit in his hand. Now he's got a choice. What's he going to do? He could say to Eve, listen, you know, you're the best wife I've had. In fact, I don't think there's a better woman on the earth. You've been wonderful to me, but I'm sorry. You see, you know what God said. The day you eat the fruit of that tree, you're dead. And I'm sorry for you, but you're just going to have to go out there and let God do whatever he wants to do with you. But do you know something? If Adam had done that, we wouldn't be having this meeting today. You realize that? Why? Because as Christ, he could look down the corridors of time to a time when that whole thing could be reversed, and that the man and the woman could be put back together again, and the whole question of what happened there could be annulled. But to do that, he had to be a part of the woman. Listen, Jesus Christ could not have wrought redemption for us from heaven. You understand? I'm not just pointing up in the sky like heaven's up there, but you know what I mean. He could not have done that unless he had come to this earth. But that wasn't all. He could not have worked redemption for us unless he had become what you are. You're hearing this? Subject to everything on this earth. He was subject to sin. He was subject to sickness, pain, and suffering, and everything else that's available to us today. But of course, he never sinned. He kept the law of God. He was perfect, absolutely perfect. So he had no need to die, no need at all. But what did he do? He became the man of sin. Jesus Christ did not die as the Son of God. Jesus Christ died as the last Adam. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 21, where he said, God was in Christ reconciling the world unto himself. God hath made him to be the man of sin. What's that? That's what you and I are. We have become the man of sin ourselves. And he became what we are. That's why when the soldiers arrested him in the garden, they marched him down the road like a common criminal. But he could have called down 12 legions of angels. Think about it. He was the Son of the living God. He could have wiped out the entire Roman Empire if he wanted to. Why didn't he do it? Because he was a man on a mission. He had you in mind. He had you in mind. He said, I can't do that. I'm just going to go through this thing because I have committed myself to the Father, that I will provide redemption for you. He who knew no sin was made to be sin for us, so that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. What a man. What a man. That's why Adam took that fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and he ate it with his eyes wide open. Not in rebellion against God. Don't let anybody tell you Adam rebelled against God. He didn't. He did the will of God. Just as much as Judas did the will of God when he betrayed him, because somebody had to put him on that cross.